Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We bring you stories of faith, love, and devotion. Yeah, just kidding, please help us grow by hitting that like button. Now on to the story. Abe to look through my GF's phone. I found she is kinda cheating. Romantic, judged. Okay, I already know I'm the butthole to look through my GF's phone, but here's what went down. I feel so crazy and distraught. I hate myself and I want to just pretend this never happened. Could use a Thanos snap. My GF and I have been dating for 7 months. Lately her behavior was so odd. Super dry, not that interested. I see she's started following someone new on their Instagram. It was someone I didn't know. It was a guy. Normally I wouldn't react, but something told me that it was off. I just knew. So I asked her who he was and she said, oh, it's someone I used to know back in university. I started following them. And I went, oh okay, and she went, yeah, don't worry about it. Then she took a shower and I decided to creep. This is the convo I found through DM. My GF, hey smile, what's up? Him, why are you talking to me? I told you not to talk to me. Her, I want to check in on you. Him, no, not after you lied to me about Jack. We were exclusive. Stop talking to me. Her, but I wanna know what you're doing. Him, lol, let me guess, no other guy wants to deal with your bullshit? Her, no, I have a BF, I just want to see what you're up to. Him, then you shouldn't be talking to me. Stop playing dumb. It ended there. Now I know it's not cheating exactly, but I came clean to my GF and told her. She said not to worry about it, and the guy and her dated for like a month and he's totally irrelevant now. But if he's irrelevant, why did she follow him? Why did she message him? Because he's not following her back. He didn't message her. She reached out to him all playful. I went to bed that night and cried. I feel like she's lying. She won't tell me details about this so-called irrelevant relationship. She turned it on to me that I looked through her phone and found messages. Get that dude's number out of her PH, meet him and he'll tell you the truth. Something tells me she's a serial cheater. NTB. That's what I'm thinking too, and she's like, I'm just curious what he's up to, that's all. Is it a big deal to be curious? But that sounds like manipulation, does it not? She lied to her ex about Jack, she's lying to you about her ex. The rest is up to you. I'm definitely gonna reach out to this guy. This girl didn't even unfollow him. If it walks like a duck, it's a duck. Why reach out to him? She's cheated in the past and she's borderline stalking this guy. I don't think he can give you any more clarity. Everyone's going to downvote this comment, but I can literally see someone and tell if they're a cheater. I can always spot a cheater. It's like a gift. If you want me to look for you, I'd be happy to. PM me. Trust me. It sounds crazy, but I'm never wrong out of hundreds of times. Everyone I know comes to me with pics of their new girlfriends. Why don't any women ever show you their new boyfriends? His gift only works on women. Oh, and the less clothes they wear, the more accurate he is. I posted an update because it was too long for a comment. Seems like so much extra work to try and find out the truth. She wasn't even honest the first time you asked her who this guy even was, even though he knows she's a liar. You've only been dating 7 months, why even continue to waste your time? Yeah, I feel like it's pretty obvious and the answers are right in front of me, TBH. Abe update. Possible cheating girlfriend. Thank you for your advice. Yes, she's cheating. Romantic. First of all, thank you to everyone for being kind but also honest with me that it was wrong to look through her phone. I appreciated the empathetic but also unbiased opinion towards my situation. I realized it was wrong to look through her phone. I shouldn't have. If you're considering doing that, don't. It didn't make me feel good after. However, this situation is worse than I actually thought. So I messaged the guy she was messaging, but wouldn't tell me who he was. as some of you recommended, and I was surprised to get a response within like 5 minutes. He provided me with screenshots and evidence that essentially my now ex-GF was basically harassing him online. They dated for 4 months, and at around 3 months they became exclusive. Twice, during this time of exclusivity, she invited another guy, Jack, over and slept with him, and he left. Then 2 hours later, invited the BF over. She did this on 2 occasions. He found out through Jack as they both shared the same lab together. So he left her. He felt he was made to be a fool sleeping in her bed after she had sex with someone else after giving exclusivity. This was actually 6 years ago. But for the past year, my GF has been messaging her ex trying to get his attention. She deleted all previous conversations, since he was ignoring her, although he had told her when they broke up he didn't want to hear from her, and I only saw the one, but finally he confronted her and basically decided to duck off. He tried to ignore her hoping she'd get the message, but every 3 months or so my GF would just keep DMing him. Then he told her off and blocked her. I broke up with my now ex-GF. Not only is she a cheater, but seems very fixated on this guy. It has been a crazy 10 hours. But the worst part is over. Good for you. Wish I could have seen her face when you dumped her cheating ass, smiley face, smiley face. She tried to make it look like he was obsessed with her, and I was like, do you realize you're the one messaging him? You're the one adding him after he told you he doesn't want anything to do with you? And she didn't say anything. I blocked her so she won't message me 6 years later too, although probably not, cause it seems I'm the backup dude. If someone makes you a backup, leave them right away. Huh, so that's what happened to my hard drive. Post the screenshots. I blocked her so she won't message me 6 years later too, although probably not, cause it seems I'm the backup dude. Yes. I'm sorry this happened to you. She is not a bullet, but a weapon of mass destruction that we could never find in the 80s and 90s. Block her from everything. I'm doing the thing you shouldn't be doing and comparing myself to him. What was it about him that made her still want him after 6 years? I will never know. Possibly it's because he's the one that ended it and pushed her away before she was ready to end things. Maybe not something in particular about him, but rather that she hadn't used him up and moved on, so she isn't over it yet, because that's the relationship that never really ended to her. Totally this. I reckon before she met him she was the one dumping and moving on. Getting dumped and then being told to back off probably is infuriating for her if she thrives on attention. She does love attention. I bet she's super pissed off we both blocked her now, lol, now she's got no one. This sounds really likely TBH. I totally understand your hurt and feeling like you weren't good enough, but just know that this has been a pattern for her and does not reflect your own worth as a BF. It sounds like she is someone who enjoys having the attention of multiple guys, either due to her own insecurities or narcissism. The fact that she cheated on this other guy proves that it wasn't because of you. I'm sure she would have done this regardless of whoever she ended up dating, so please don't beat yourself up about this. You will find a girl one day that treats you right and deserves you. Thanks, smile. Story 2. Husband ruined my career. I, 26F, met my husband, 40M, when I was 19 and he was 33. When I met him I had just moved out of my hometown where I had just spent the last year living in a trap house and frequently using drugs, and I wanted to get my life back on track. He had just gotten out of the military. Things seemed pretty good at first, but there were some red flags. With me being so young, I definitely wasn't super emotionally mature, and this would be the first actual relationship I was in. Looking back, I just really feel like I didn't know what I was doing. I had nothing to compare this to, and I wasn't ready to be in a long-term relationship. The things that stand out the most looking back as red flags include, he once trespassed in my friend's house who I was staying with, hiding behind furniture and spying on us to make sure I wasn't sleeping with my friend. I wasn't. He once made a very extensive list of things he didn't like about me. He would keep track of how many times he had suicidal thoughts. It was in the 300s, and he would throw it in my face and blame me for having those thoughts. Not something he did to me, but he told me a story about how he tried to get his kid put up for adoption just to spite his baby mama so she could never see him again. He also kind of always talked down to me, and he says he didn't mean it that way, and I don't necessarily think he did, but he always just kind of made me feel kind of dumb. After a few years I ended up joining the Navy and we got married. After my first deployment I came back, and it's hard to explain, but things just felt off. I didn't feel attracted to him anymore and really felt uncomfortable with any kind of intimacy or him touching me, but I figured I'd get over it and things would go back to normal. Eventually months and then years went by and I still had that same feeling. I didn't really feel comfortable telling him how I felt, because usually when I said something was upsetting me he wouldn't really care, and plus I didn't want to hurt his feelings. He would often touch me and it's hard to explain, but I would get the same sick feeling in my stomach that I can only compare to the same feeling I had when I had gotten raped once in the past. So I would either just clearly act uncomfortable but he would keep touching me, or sometimes I would say I didn't want to be touched and he would sometimes continue, but sometimes he would stop. However, we went years without having sex and we would just kind of act like things were normal even though our marriage was extremely degraded, but I guess we both just didn't want to talk about it. These years were hard and I felt extremely depressed but kept it bottled up. I went on my next deployment and at that point I had already decided I would ask for a divorce when I got home. I didn't plan on cheating, but since I already felt that my marriage was over, when someone made a move on me, I ended up starting an affair. I felt extremely guilty and admitted it to him after about a month. He said he forgave me. I stopped the affair for a while but eventually started it up again, and he said he was okay if I kept it going during deployment if I cut it off when I got back, and I told him if he wanted to sleep with someone else too that was fine. When I got back, I still wanted a divorce, and I figured since I was trying to get divorced, why not keep the affair going? I kept asking for a divorce but he kept saying no, that he wanted to stay married. I told him I still wanted to be friends and we could do it amicably. I told him I thought he deserved to be with someone that would be better for him than me. But he refused to sign papers. I felt completely trapped, and I used drugs a few times, while on leave and on long weekends, because I felt that that was the only thing that could make me feel any happiness. After a few months, my husband called the police and my command to report me for using, and revealed that he had been working with NCIS for months to build a case against me for using drugs. He had been collecting evidence, including going through my phone and taking secret videos of me. Now I am getting kicked out of the Navy after just getting promoted, and I was about to re-enlist and get a huge bonus. I won't be able to use the GI Bill and it'll be hard to find a job. This has also ostracized me from my friends, so I am completely lonely and isolated while he at least has friends and family for support. I guess it serves me right, but I just keep wondering why he couldn't just divorce me like a normal person and we could move on. TL, Doctor, my marriage had been going very badly for years. I cheated on my husband and he turned me into the police and my job for using drugs. My big question is how you ended up on the radar of NCIS. Was the new guy a supplier? Did your hubby just catch you then go to NCIS? I just figured that someone going to them would be hearsay, and for such a small thing as using they might not have time for that. He went to them. There's more to it than that, but I can't really go into detail. What a shit. Well, it is my understanding that you can petition to change your discharge by starting to go to therapy where you are open about your substance abuse. I don't even think you need to do that, but it doesn't hurt to have a licensed professional who has your back. And it's just a fact that people who are depressed will probably self-medicate. I know several people who have had a dishonorable discharge changed so they can got to the VA, etc. Yes, my husband told my attorney that I am pregnant. Like why? At this point I'm just waiting for the circus to end. It's up to you, naturally. Just so you could still get benefits and such. What? No, I'm not pregnant, he's just dragging this out for I don't know what reason. Oh, I see, lol. Was confused. Still am actually, though none to do with this. True. The point is people are spiteful. What's NCIS? See no evil monkey. Naval Criminal Investigative Service, I believe. Police for the Navy. Your husband didn't ruin anything. You ruined your career by doing drugs. That's all on you. And let's not forget, she cheated on him first and denied him intimacy and communication. I can't really feel sorry for this woman. In my opinion, she got what she deserved and her husband was smart to wait to drop the bomb her after gathering the evidence. Correct. Both of you are in the wrong in my opinion, though honestly if you still want to divorce him, speak with a divorce lawyer and see what you can do. She cheated and he was in the wrong. She used drugs and he is in the wrong. Are you joking? Story 3. I think I have a twin. Advice needed. Update: first thing I'm working on is my birth certificate. If it tells me I'm one of one, I'll casually ask my mom who the girl in the photos is. TL: Dr. Dad left when 3, I think he and mom agreed to split me and twin and never talk again. First, I want to share some suspicions I have. Second, I know this will sound like the plot of The Parent Trap. Please don't write me off. Let's start with the basics. Dad left when I was 3. From what I've gathered, it was a non-violent yet ugly situation of loathing between the two. Mom has only talked about it once, and I suspect she regrets telling me. I'm a 24-year-old male BTW. My earliest 2 memories include a girl. In the first, we're in a room in my maternal grandparents' house, deciding that we're shy and don't want to talk to people, so when they ask us our age, we'll simply hold up 3 fingers. I'll never forget that moment, partly because I think it's the first time I ever held up 3 fingers at the same time. It was a new sensation. But she was there. A girl. I've ruled everything out. My grandmother's peers, neighbors, none of them had kids that age. There's simply no reason for this girl to exist. She's in another memory, a similar one, probably from the same time. This was one I forgot until recently. I work in marketing now. There's an old indoor sports center with 2 soccer fields/hockey rinks and a gym. In addition, there's offices, old arcade games, a place for concessions, and a daycare center. They've been closed for a while but we're planning a big upswing pre-COVID. Our agency was going to give them a push, and I visited a little under a year ago to take some stills. As soon as I walked in, the memory hit me. My grandmother dropped us off at the daycare center inside. Us. I remembered it so vividly. Most of the lights were off, so the indoor fields looked like a dark ocean. The gym lights were on, and she must have been going to physical therapy. And she dropped 2 of us off. I know it was the girl from my 3 memory. It stuck with me, but I didn't chase the thought. It just must have been some girl. After all, there's no pictures of her, and no family member had ever brought it up. Then again, it's the exact same situation with my dad, whoever and wherever he is. Could he have taken her and my mom got me? I want to pursue this because one of the last things my grandmother ever said to me before she passed last fall sent chills down my spine. She was talking through the window of her home, and I was masked up and keeping my safe distance. She knew things were winding down, and her mind wasn't very sharp anymore. But, she said, "You've grown up so much. You were so small, back then, both of you were." I instinctively replied, "Both who?" But, she recoiled from answering as if she remembered not to say something. We helped clean her house after she passed away, Mom and I dug through some photos. Photos I had never seen but didn't tell me anything new, except for the same girl in the background of 3 of them. She's swimming in the pool, running in the park, and searching for Easter eggs at church. Is it her? I don't know. There's no pictures of my dad, and if they wanted to keep my potential sister a secret I can understand she wouldn't be in any, but would it be possible that my grandmother kept somewhere she was slightly in the picture, whether intentional or not? What should my first step be? Talk with my mom? I DK.T want to seem crazy to her. I have a stepdad, but we're not too close since he came into the picture when I was a preteen. Who knows if he knows anything? I imagine my dad and sister are out there somewhere. Do you think I have enough to support that belief? Hey, all. I had no idea there were indications of multiple siblings on my birth certificate. I'm working on this today. For this is dependent on the state you're in, as I'm a twin and my sister and I have separate birth certificates, with no multiple or one of two checkboxes anywhere. So if you don't see those, don't assume it means you're not a twin. Also, talk to your mom first. You're clearly not crazy, especially since you've seen her in the background of these pictures. I think that op says a girl appears in 3 photos. Not specifically that it is the girl he remembers, just that it is an odd coincidence that the same unknown girl would be found in several photos taken at different times. Yeah, but I think that's reason enough to show he's not crazy. Well, we're all a little crazy but not that crazy. If they lived in a small town, and attended a daycare there, it would not be at all unusual to find the same person in several photos taken at local events. Now, if the op had said my heart stopped. I was looking into the face of the little girl from my memory, you would be onto something. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's still enough of a reason to ask the question. Hey, who is this? Is harmless. You want the long-form birth certificate. It might also just be called an official copy. It is a standard request because this is a requirement for a US passport. You can likely go to your local county vital statistics office, depending on COVID lockdowns, and get a copy the same day. Is that state specific? My official birth certificate has no extra information on parents. The same copy got me my passport 2 years ago. There are some differences in each state, but the long form will usually have signatures of those present and more information than just your name and place of birth. It also depends on when you were born. I know that birth certificates in the 1950s, for example, had far less information than now. I'm sure states added more detail at different rates too. I think I have a twin. Part 2 conclusion, answered. Can't thank everyone for the support and for the overwhelming agreement that I should pull my birth certificate. Once I had the free time to do so, I got the copy. Sure enough, I'm one of one. No twins. The girl from my memories and possibly the photos still nagged at me. Enough was enough and I decided to do what many of you also suggested, honest talk with mom. I got the chance to sit down with her over dinner. It was tough convincing her not to bring my stepdad, but with my GF out for the night I managed to convince her it could be mother-son time. Then I hit her with the question, do I have a sister? Her reaction wasn't what I expected. It was almost like she was glad. Why do you ask? I told her everything I told you guys, my memories, Gma's slip up, and I showed her the photos we took from Gma's house. She was silent for a second. That would be your half-sister. She asked if I was ready, and told me the whole story of her and my dad, filling over the gaps, and, well, it's kinda shitty. My mom and I were a second family. My dad and half-sister's mom were married and were family friends. Dad cheated with my mom, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect. My half-sister and I were born within a month. Mom knew we were on the side and continued to go along with it, and my grandmother would babysit both of us. This is the time where all the memories and photos come from. When we were about 3, my half-sister's mom got wise to the truth, and insisted her family move away and cut off all contact. Obviously, that's exactly what happened. Mom wasn't happy as she liked the arrangement, and took it like a bad breakup. Mom and Gma, the only two who knew who my dad was, decided to not tell me. In a bit of not shitty news though, he's allegedly been financially supporting us the whole time. Just a bit here and there but enough to make my life as comfortable as it was. Then Mom told me their names. She wants to be left out of it if I try to make contact, but I'm not sure I will just yet. That's a personal thing to figure out and I think I'll take my time. But, some social media searching led me to my half-sister's profile. I broke down in tears when I saw it because, even 20 years later, I recognized her. So, she's not my twin, but my half-sister is out there and she's exactly who I remember/thought she was. Thank you all for the support. It's my fervent wish for Op that it would be a happy reunion if/when he reaches out. But, I'm concerned this process could be a bumpy one. Given that her mother insisted they leave the area and cut contact, there's a good chance that his half-sister has no idea about her father's infidelity, let alone that there's a second family. There's also no way to know without asking him why his father chose not to be present, except financially, in his life for so many years, and hearing why may be challenging even with the best of intentions on all sides. None of that is Op's responsibility to manage for these people. He's totally innocent and entitled to reach out if he desires. However, walking into such a situation could be rough on him. My hope would be that he's got some solid support behind him when/if he does reach out. Having a therapist to help with thinking out this process, and how to best care for himself through it, could be really helpful. Just want to wish you lots of luck, and say that I'm proud of you for pursuing the truth. Edits, fixing some autocorrects and clarifying some points. This is so well put. My first thought was how Op could handle meeting his half-sister when it might mean blowing her family apart. I have no advice on how to navigate that except to suggest Op get some support from reunion charities, and a therapist if that's an option. That is not Op's burden to bear. I found out about 5 years ago that my bio dad, that I only saw once at 15, had 2 other kids. People kept telling me not to contact them because they clearly did not know about me. It was not my secret to keep. I did contact them, with proof we shared the same father. One did not want contact with me, saying I was just looking for drama. But I did form a relationship with the younger one. And it is one of my greatest joy. He is also very happy when he sees me or talks to me and looks exactly like my son. Long story short, the dad is ultimately responsible for hiding/cheating. No one else. We have to stop bottling everything up and protecting those who lie and cheat. The truth will set you free. This Op should definitely reach out. Because it wouldn't surprise me that his half-sister is having similar thoughts. Who knows, she may have remembered the same things as him. It's not his burden. I can't imagine that as a kid she didn't hear a single argument that didn't make her question some aspect of her family situation. I was thinking this too, she's gotta be sitting there having memories of her twin wondering why. I was thinking the same thing. Exactly. My mom has a half-brother that she didn't know existed until she was an adult. Then many years later social media became a thing and she agonized over searching for him. How much of the truth behind their shared father's history did he know? Would it rock the boat? What if her sisters found out? What if her mother found out? She finally sucked it up and searched for him on Facebook. 2 of her sisters had already friended him. She had struggled over nothing. All that to say, if Op is hurting like this and has done nothing wrong whatsoever, I don't think staying silent is the right way to go. His father made his choices a long time ago. It's possible that everyone is just staying silent to keep the status quo but all want to clear the air. Or you could have a little empathy for whatever their familial situations may be. There's a good chance that his half-sister has no idea about her father's infidelity. I was on the other side of this equation. I did not learn about any of it until I was 38. Somewhere out there I have a younger half-brother named Michael. I'm 71, so he would be about 67. When my sister FedExed me an envelope, she didn't tell me what was in it, but said I should have a couple of drinks handy and my therapist on speed dial. The toxic waste, as we called that envelope, detailed, extensively, a 28-year relationship between my father and another woman, along with the existence of our half-brother. I have written of those details in the past, so I'll just say that calling it the toxic waste really doesn't do it justice. Have you ever attempted to contact said half-brother? No. At the time this happened, tilde 1986, my sister was married to a great lawyer. He didn't try to make our decision for us, but he laid out a few scenarios of what could occur if we did try to contact Michael and how that could affect the two of us and affect our half-brother and whatever family he had. Without going into a lot of detail here, he pointed out that the amount of unbridled rage exhibited in the cover letter, written by Ruth's sister after she had died, indicated that this was not something they emotionally had swept under the rug. And that rage was real and justified. Short version, after 28 years together, tilde 1976, my father had abandoned Ruth when she became seriously ill with lupus. And Michael was not the son of Ruth and my father, his mother was Sharon, Ruth's at the time 14-year daughter. My bill suggested a couple of scenarios that did not end well for one or more of the participants, and that they would have about 10,000 volts of rage behind them. Even though we were total innocents in this, he felt our lives might be at risk. The sins of the father took on a whole new meaning for us that day. Who is my stepdad? I think I have a twin part 3/final update. Resolved. First off, I don't really need anything solved, I just wanted to share an update since so many people have expressed interest. Thank you for your kind words. Post 1. Post 2. Hey, it's the guy who thought he had a twin sister but discovered he was actually a part of a second family. It's been an interesting couple of months. Well, where did I leave off? Not long after I discovered the identities of my biological dad and half-sister from my mom, my stepdad sat me down. It was pretty generic "you're my stepson, yes but you're a son to me" stuff. Like I said in a previous post, he's a good guy, we're just not the closest. He looked like he wanted to say something else, however. He lingered, opened his mouth, then closed it. Left my room with a polite nod and that was that. I didn't pay too much attention at the time. Here's some important background on my stepdad. He started dating my mom when I was 12, and they got married when I was 15. Like my mom, he doesn't do any social media and holds a steady job. He's a middle-of-the-road, normal guy. I never thought he'd have skeletons in his closet, too. See, I have my mom's last name, and, in a sweet move, my stepdad took our last name when they got married. I'm the one joining your family, he would say. He's one of the nicest guys I've met. More on that later. My mom told me a bit more about the arrangement with my dad when he moved away with his wife and daughter. She said that my dad supporting us financially wasn't as simple as him mailing a check every month, but she didn't elaborate too much. So, I have access to the names and contact information to my biological father and half-sister. They live on the other side of the country and seemed pretty normal. With a lot of nervousness and doubt, I decided to reach out. I'll spare you the whole process. A couple of texts, a couple of days pass, Dad and I have a video call and then, when it seems like an awkward foray was coming to an end. How about I fly you out here? Lots of soul searching and mental preparedness later, I set cross-country to meet my, as I've been calling them, half-family. I was shocked. My dad was like me, a huge nerd and collector. His wife was very nice, and even took me aside one time to share that she had no ill will towards me, and not even much towards my mom anymore. She apologized for being the one to keep me from my dad so long, but I let her know she wasn't to blame. And my sister. My sister and I have become best friends in the past 6 months. The headline here is, she remembered me, too. She has several more memories than I. She can't remember the 3 thing, but she remembers daycare at the indoor athletic facility, and told me about riding little battery-powered 4-wheelers at Grandma's. I remembered it as soon as she said it. We are twins in all but mothers. We've become pen pals, discussing our families and what our growing up experiences have been. And, it turns out, it's a good thing I had her for support when what happened. I visited their home in the Pacific Northwest this summer, when there was an insane heat wave. They have no AC in the home, no need for it, so the house was consistently reaching 90 degrees. We're sitting around one night, my half family and I, sweating on the deck. The sun had sunk behind the mountains and we were sharing some beers and telling stories. Dad was telling a story about a day he skipped school while his brother went to school, and Dad got away with it because his brother signed his attendance sheet. My dad's wife said, my stepdad's name has always been punctual, and my dad said, quickly after that, yeah, we all know that, even you, Anon. We all kind of froze. My sister looked just as confused as me, my dad's wife stared silently into her glass, and my dad sighed. Yeah, I didn't know how to tell you about this part. I was thinking he might want to. Here's the shocker. So, way back when my half family left, my dad had his brother, my uncle, take care of the family. Bring my groceries, fix up the house. He helped us out a lot, and, for the first decade of my life he was kept distant from me. But then, he and my mom fell in love. I was a preteen when I was introduced to him as my mom's boyfriend. My dad was shocked by the relationship and cut off contact, and my uncle married my mom when I was 15. Once I was sure everything was finally out in the blue, I think I was okay. My stepdad/uncle and my dad don't really talk anymore for obvious reasons. I had an enjoyable rest of my visit, but dreaded coming home to confront my stepdad. Uncle? God, I wish you all could have known how I felt. Once back, I sat my mom and stepdad down. I know you're my uncle. Just like every other problem I've had over the past year, it resolved much more easily than I could have imagined. I begged my parents, all of them, to tell me everything I don't know. I'll keep personal conversations personal beyond this story, but, for the first time in my life, I know everything about myself. I know it's messed up. I was part of a second family. Grandma was forced to keep secrets. Not knowing my real dad, or even the existence of my half-sister. My stepdad being my uncle. But, I turned out okay. I'm in a steady relationship and have a good job, and I'm barely in my mid-20s. I've learned valuable lessons from the mistakes of my loved ones, and I want to leave you with this. My parents have had the weight of the world on their shoulders for 20 years. In the past couple of months, we've found cathartic healing and a stronger bond than ever. Forgiveness is in the air. I like to think my grandma knew this would happen eventually. Don't keep secrets from your loved ones. But if you have some currently, approach the situation deftly and honestly. Times will be tough, but the light at the end of the tunnel is relieving. I'm not confused anymore. My family has doubled in size, physically and emotionally. For the first time ever, we'll continue to grow as one. TLDR, my stepdad is my uncle. Update, I know this isn't a post asking for help. I just wanted to update everyone since I've had hundreds of messages over the past couple of months. Thank you all. Wow, I remember reading your first posts about this not so long ago. I'm glad everything turned out fine for you, smile. Hey op, this would make an excellent post over at r/genealogy. Also over at r/writing prompts. Oh wait. Not gonna lie, this whole thing from part 1 till now was one wild ducking ride. Felt like I was reviewing a telenovela for a minute there. That said, I'm happy that everything has worked out for you and your crazy little awesome family. I am so glad about this update, because I remember reading the first one. It's pretty unfortunate that your stepdad and bio-dad had a falling out and don't talk anymore. It seems like after all this time they could find a way to try and reconnect. It's some sort of strange foreshadowing how your stepdad signed the attendance sheet for him, taking care of his business, cleaning up his mess, brother's keeper so to speak. Then end up basically raising the kid he abandoned. Not to throw too much shade at your dad for leaving like he did, that is just a really messed up situation, and at least he made an effort to provide. This is probably about the closest to a happy ending you could actually have in a situation like this. I found out that my dad isn't my biological father when I was 38 years old. Crazy shit happens in families. It didn't say on your birth certificate. When he adopted me, my birth certificate was amended and the original was sealed. Fun fact, I can only look at my own original birth certificate with a court order. I'm not sure what the obvious reasons are that your dad and his brother stopped talking. Your bio dad chose his wife and daughter. It isn't like your mom chose stepdad over him. Regardless, I'm glad that you got answers when you asked questions, but I'm sorry you had to wonder and ask. That struck a nerve for me as well. How does it feel to be your own cousin? Seriously though, glad this all worked out and the air is clear. We hope that by sharing these stories with interested folks like you, we can help people recognize the signs of a relationship in trouble, and avoid so many of these heartbreaking situations yourselves. Have a good day or night, wherever you are.